Shalom. Well, we have entered the end game. We are in the final stages of the grand plan that has been in the works for quite literally centuries. These ideas that we're seeing come to fruition have been around for a long time, just waiting for technology to finally catch up with them. And now we're at this point. And as a result, since we're so close to the final stage, it's become extremely hard for these people to hide their agendas, to hide their intentions. They can't be vague anymore with what they're trying to do. The best that they can do now is hope that they have us so enslaved to their system, so dependent on it, that whatever stipulations they come up with, we'll just feel like we have to do it because we really truly don't have any other option. Now, I made a video a good while ago talking about that all this stuff, talking about masks and everything like that, was just a primer. It was just a conditioning for the true agenda. And the true agenda has always been to violate our bodies. See, when it comes to putting things into people, the only avenue they've truly had has been through the food supply. They would put things in our food and our drinks and things like that. And it had somewhat of an effect on us. I mean, who can argue that people who eat at places like McDonald's all the time seem to be a little bit different than people who eat home cooked meals all the time? But the inherent nature of the human digestive system presented them with many limitations. Very few of their chemicals could truly, completely survive the acid of a person's stomach. Because that is one of that's truly your digestive system is part of your immune system. There are enzymes and acids and things like that in your digestive system that is designed to kill viruses and stuff like that that might actually be in your food. And this would also go for foreign chemicals and pharmaceuticals. Not completely, but a good amount of it. So they could only go so far with through contaminating our food and drink. But now technology has given them a way to take that next step into the violation of our bodies through genetic modification and man-made enzymes and proteins and organisms. They're able to now tailor things to their will. One can say that they've almost achieved the level of godhood in a way in their pursuit to be able to alter the human genome. And that's what we're going to start witnessing now that these vaccines are starting to be revealed to us. And of course, they're revealing it all to us via the notion that it is a step in the right direction. That is something that everyone's been waiting for. But like I said at the beginning, they're so close to the end game now, they cannot hide their true agendas anymore. The very fact that this vaccine contains, for the first time ever, substances, man-made substances that have never been introduced into the human body. This is unprecedented. This is quite literally a new step. There is no history or prior tests to relate to this. There's no way to gauge what the response will be, since this is the first time ever since they started these trials with these particular vaccines that have this mRNA, man-made genes and proteins in it. There's no long amount of evidence to compare any of this to. There's nothing to say what will happen 2 years after a person is injected with this stuff. 3 years, 4 years, hell, a decade later. There is nothing to go by. Quite literally, everyone that is going to be injected with this stuff they're quite literally test subjects. They are the first ever to receive these injections. Now, a lot of people understand this, and as a result, there's a lot of apprehension against these vaccines. The two most notable vaccines right now are the Pfizer one and the now revealed Moderna vaccine. Though these vaccines are made by different companies, one thing you have to understand is that they both contain the same man-made mRNA proteins. So they're basically the same thing. They just got a different brand name on them. And there's a lot of apprehension about it because people, they cannot hide how this technology functions. It's on their sites, their websites. They tell you exactly how this stuff is going to work. Basically, in a nutshell, this man-made stuff is injected into your body, and it forces your body's own cells to produce the C virus, the C19 virus. And from the C19 virus that gets produced, your body is supposed to create an immunity to it. Now, this is different from previous vaccines. Previous vaccines would have small amounts of the particular virus that you are being vaccinated against. The flu vaccine would have a little bit of the flu virus in it, and so on and so forth. And then the same thing the same end result would be desired, that by introducing small amounts of this virus into you, your body will form an immunity to the virus. Well, in this case, with these new vaccines, they are not introducing the virus into you, via the vaccine. No, they are actually forcing your own body to produce the virus. Now, there's so many things I could say about that. I mean, one is, if a person has to be infected with the virus to become immune to it, what does it matter if they take the vaccine or if they just go out there and get infected by it via natural means? Either way, you're introducing the virus into the person's body, and hopefully an immunity will be produced. Another thing is, well, we're talking about something that's literally going to turn your body into a virus producing organism. It's literally going to make your own body produce the virus. So if my body is producing a virus as a result of this vaccine, would that not make me contagious? Wouldn't would that not make me a plague carrier since my own cells are now producing the virus as a result of this vaccine? Another thing is, how does this process stop? Once it's started, this is the first time ever anything like this has been done, has been put into human beings. How do you know it will not cause some kind of chain reaction? Everybody's body is different in some way, from environmental variables to dietary variables to genetic variables. All these things create a different environment. So even though maybe in one person's body this vaccine might work exactly as it's described, that doesn't necessarily mean it will work the same way in another person's body. What if this vaccine in some people's body causes their cells to continually produce these virus cells? Worse yet, what if as a result of these cells producing their own virus, because of the different genetics of this person's body, it causes some kind of mutation to the virus and you end up with a completely new, completely different virus? It's no longer C19. It's C27. It's something you ain't never seen before. And this process continues on and on and on. Yeah, I always think about the concept of a zombie apocalypse. Well, I do believe if a zombie apocalypse could happen in real life, it would be as a result of technology like this. A runaway genetic response to an artificially induced man-made protein that is designed to make the body to produce a virus. That sounds like the script to every zombie apocalypse ever. Not saying it's going to go down like that, but once you put something out into the wild, once you start once things come out of the controlled environment of a lab, it enters the wild, being the public, and how different our bodies are, how nasty people are. Some people are clean. Some people are slightly clean. Some people are nasty as hell. Some people eat pork. Some people don't eat pork. Some people eat shrimp and seafood, shellfish. Some people don't. How do we know that once this stuff gets into people whose bodies are less well kept, more riddled with genetic maladies and screw ups, that it won't in turn cause this vaccine to screw up as well? See, this is the kind of stuff that you could come to understand if the vaccine had the normal amount of testing time, which is 5 to 10 years. But since this is being sped out the door, there's no way for them to do that amount of testing. And one has to wonder, why? Why the rush? Why the rush for a virus that has a, what is it, a 0.05 fatality rate? Yeah. I know if you watch the mainstream media, if you look at the news, the way they talk about this virus, you would think that it kills half of the people it infects. But in reality, and this is on their websites, CDC and everything like that, in reality, this virus only has a 0.05% fatality rate in and of itself. Now, we have seen much proof that these fatality numbers are being a little bit inflated via the concept of what they call comorbidities. I talked about that in one of my other videos. It is through the concept of comorbidity that they are kind of padding the stats for the virus. Somebody could have a terminal case of cancer, given a week to live, and they could get diagnosed with a case of COVID. Within 5 days, this person unfortunately passes away. What they have admitted that they are doing with that particular individual, instead of saying that person died of the terminal case of cancer that they were only given a week to live from, they're going to take that person's death and apply it to the COVID death, apply it to the C-19 death. And that is going on for a whole host of other unfortunate passings of people. So, though they'll tell you that the death count stands at 200 and some odd thousand, what you have to understand is that that death count is not separate. It is an overlap of other deaths, of other causes of death. Even on the CDC website, they even stated that comorbidities can also include poisoning. I went over that in my other video as well. Poisoning can also include drug overdose, because drug overdose is a form of poisoning. So, again, somebody could die of heroin overdose, but they were also tested and found to be positive for the C-19. That death, instead of it just being put in the OD category, it will get put into the C-19 category. So, why the rush to put in an experimental substance, man-made substance, into people? And they are making no allusions to their agenda. They are straight up stating the entire population of America, 330 million people. I don't know how many times I've heard these mainstream media news talking heads straight up say every single person in America they want to put this stuff into. So why the rush to put something into people that is highly experimental, completely unpredictable, has only been tested safely in the sterile environments of laboratories? Why the rush to put this into the entire population of this country for a virus that has a 0.05 fatality rate? A virus that they have to link all manners of comorbidities to in order to balloon the death count. Something to really think about as we get closer and closer to the deployment of this stuff. But there are people actually looking forward to it. There are people actually looking forward to putting these exotic man-made chemicals into their bloodstream and waiting to see exactly what happens. These people are looking forward to it because they are looking forward to returning to their daily routine activities. They have convinced themselves that once these chemicals are made readily available to us and either told to us to take or quite literally forced upon us, there are a lot of people who are willing to bite that bullet because they believe, or at least they did believe, that that would be the end of this whole thing and that they could return to their normal day of life, their normal careers, their normal pursuits, their normal vices, their normal outings. But unfortunately, it looks like not even that will bring back such normalcies. Not even the arrival of the vaccine will these people be able to return to their lives as they knew them. Because quite frankly, we are in a transitional period now. It's a transitional period that has been hidden, that has been camouflaged behind a global pandemic. Now, there's multiple things to consider about that. One is that why would such a period just so happen to coincide virtually with our 400 years of time in captivity? We officially arrived here in 1619. This virus kicked off in 2019. This whole transition, this great reset, as they have dubbed it, started quite literally on the 400th anniversary of our time on this continent. It's something very, 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 very important that needs to be considered by our people. Also of equal importance is why so much concern over us now. I mean, they made us quite literally the face of this virus. And as a result, they quite literally claimed that we were one of the high-risk groups. And they are now saying that high-risk groups are more likely going to be the people who get access to the virus first. So it's almost like, is this vaccine their anniversary present to us? Are they celebrating our 400th year of captivity by giving us one of their, well, quite literally their most experimental chemical concoction ever created? That's one hell of an anniversary present, I must say. But I, myself, must humbly reject it, because I don't see anywhere in the Tanakh that it says that heathens would be putting their chemical concoctions and poisons directly into our bodies. I don't see anywhere in the Tanakh. I mean, if you can show me that in the Tanakh, I will probably go ahead and concede and say, yeah, well, we should be taking this vaccine. But unless somebody can show me that in the Tanakh, something that can be referred to as relating to that, then I'm sorry, my beliefs tell me to leave that crap alone. And I certainly hope other Israelites share the same belief. Because I think now is probably where you will truly have your faith tested. And to fail that test, well, that's probably going to be all she wrote. Shalom.